For 25 years, the same thing kept happening in one region of Ukraine. Girls disappeared. They were later found dead. Investigators believed they were hunting a serial rapist. The wrong men were convicted. One of them died in prison. Meanwhile, the real killer was watching. He understood exactly how the system worked because he had once been part of it. This is the story of Sergey Tkach. Sergey Tkach was born in 1952. He completed military service and later worked in law enforcement. For a period, he was involved in criminal investigation work. He examined crime scenes, analyzed evidence, observed how case files were prepared. This meant one critical thing. He understood the internal mechanics of investigations. Later, he changed jobs several times, worked at industrial facilities, moved between towns within the region. Neighbors did not describe him as violent. He was reserved but not alarming. A family man. For decades, no one connected his name to the murders. His knowledge of the system became his greatest weapon. He understood which details would mislead investigators, which traces to remove, which ones to leave behind. His victims were minors. He selected isolated locations, often areas he was familiar with. Sometimes months passed between incidents, sometimes years. This made it difficult for investigators to establish a consistent pattern. Authorities believed they were searching for a socially isolated and impulsive offender, but the reality was more complex. Meanwhile, something else was unfolding. Several individuals were convicted for crimes they did not commit. Confessions were often obtained under pressure. Cases were closed hastily. One of the convicted men died in custody. When the real perpetrator later confessed, the scale of investigative failure became undeniable. For more than 2 decades, he remained outside suspicion. In 2005, another murder occurred. Biological evidence was recovered from the scene. By that time, DNA analysis was being used more actively in Ukraine. A match led investigators to Sergey Tkach. He did not strongly resist arrest. During interrogation, he began describing crimes in detail. He provided information only the perpetrator could know. He claimed responsibility for dozens of murders. Investigators reopened archived cases, reviewed old evidence, re-examined forensic material. Gradually, a horrifying pattern emerged. The trial became one of the most high-profile cases in the region. He was charged with more than 30 murders. In court, he appeared calm, detached. He confirmed much of his testimony. In 2008, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. The public was shocked not only by the number of crimes, but by how long the system had failed. Some previously convicted men were later rehabilitated, but the lost years could not be restored. Sergey Tkach spent the rest of his life in prison. He died in 2018. The story ended, but its consequences did not. The case became an example of how professional knowledge, systemic failure, and institutional pressure can allow a killer to operate for decades. Sometimes evil does not look like evil, sometimes it looks ordinary.